Shri Hare Namaha. We shall begin today's session now. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Param Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Adi Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Mula Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Madananda Tirtha Bhagavad Padacharabhyo Namaha, Shri Veda Vyasaya Namaha, Shri Bharate Namaha, Shri Saraswate Namaha, Shri Vayave Namaha, Shri Brahmane Namaha, Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Shri Narayanaya Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha, Mokshapada Shri Vasudevaya Namaha. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Hare Paramatmane, Pranatakleshanashaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Granthamudirayat. Narayanam Suragurum Jagadekanatham Bhakta Priyam Sakla Loka Namaskritam Chatraigunya Varjitam Ajamipumadhyamisham Vande Bhavagnama Siddhavandyam. Avikaraya Shuddhaya Nityaya Paramatmane Sadaika Rupa Rupaya Vishnave Sarvajishnave Namo Hiranya Garbhaya Hare Shankaraya Cha Vasudevaya Taraya Sargastityantakarine Ekaneka Swarupaya Stula Sukshmatmane Namaha Avyakta Vyakta Rupaya Vishnave Mukti Hetave Sargastiti Vinashanam Jagatosya Jaganmeha Mulabhuto Namastasmai Vishnave Paramatmane. So does anyone have any questions so far from all the previous sessions?
Hare Srinivasa Bhrata.
Hare Srinivasa.
Yes, I was having that dissociative identity disorder doubt. Whether Avish, in one body, so many souls. So is it related to that?
What you mentioned is am I audible now?
Yes, Bhrata.
There was an interruption in the program due to an issue with the internet connection. So, as I was saying, those with dissociative identity disorder are suffering from a psychological issue. It's not something to do with avesha or the presence of multiple souls.
Okay,
So,
Bhrata.
avesha is the effect of two or more atmas being present in one jiva. So usually that is seen in the case of devatas or an amsha of a devata inhabiting a human being as a second or third soul. So as we see in certain avatars of Bhagwan also, for example, Prithu Maharaja, he was also an avesha of Bhagwan. Similarly, Kartavirya Arjuna. In some places of the Shastras, one can see that these people are equated as Bhagwan's avatars or are said to be Bhagwan himself. Now, this is actually because they had multiple souls in their body and one of them was an amsha of Sri Vishnu. Now, actually, similarly, there was another case with Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, then Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and even Shishupala and Dantavakra, and even Kamsa and Putana and many other asuras for that matter. So they also had something known as Avesha, where Avesha is the presence of multiple souls in their bodies. Now, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were extremely wicked asuras who actually went to Naraka. But in the Shastras, we see that they were said to be Jaya Vijaya, because that is because Hiranyakashipu had an amsha of Jaya as his Avesha. And similarly, Hiranyaksha had an amsha of Vijaya in his heart as another soul. The same thing continued, and even in the case of Kamsa, he had an Avesha of Bhrigu Maharshi. So that is why Kamsa is said to have attained moksha, but it was not actually Kamsa who attained moksha. Similarly, Putana also did not attain moksha. Putana had the Avesha of Urvashi, so it was her who attained moksha. Does that make it clear now?
Yes, brother. So Avish and Amsha both are same.
No. Amsha means portion.
Okay.
In the case of Bhagwan, one amsha of Bhagwan is his own form or a form of Bhagwan himself who is equal to Bhagwan only. Basically, his avatars are his amshas only because Bhagwan is infinite and his amshas are also infinite.
Oh, okay, brother.
Avesha means any person or any other living entity having another soul in their body of another devata or even an asura also sometimes.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Hare Srinivasa.
Hare Srinivasa.
But the soul is indivisible, right?
Yes, it is indivisible only. Not indivisible exactly, but the soul can be sometimes in certain cases one soul can have different parts of its own and it can be separated, but except that it can't be, it is not like how we divide a physical object and how the power of that will reduce. In the case of the jivas it's different. Also, how is soul being indivisible related here exactly? What we discussed was avesha.
Yeah, but as you said, if any devatas avesha is present in some asura or some other living being, then it means that the soul is present in two places at same time, right?
Yes, devatas very much are omnipresent only. And Bhagavan is omnipresent in all particles of the universe. But in the Devatas also, they are omnipresent in certain places. For example, starting from their hierarchy of the tattvas, for example, Varuna, who presides over the tattva of Apas, that is water, he is present in every water molecule. So same is the case with all the other devatas. Then the higher devatas, they are present in water, then fire also, then wind, like that. That's the hierarchy.
Okay.
Any further queries?
Brother, I had some doubts related to Swabhavik gender of the soul. Shall I ask?
Sure, 1 minute.
Can you join?
5 have joined, Guruji.
Okay.
You can carry forward, Guruji.
What have you been discussing?
Today morning in one of our groups, someone had asked a doubt about what avesha is, and I had explained in brief about that. And I was just discussing some more things about that and few doubts few people had.
Are they satisfied? Is there anything more they want to know?
I think so. No one has asked any more queries now.
Okay. They're able to hear us?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay. अभ्रमं भङ्गरहितमजडं विमलं सदा आनन्दतीर्थमतुलं भजे तापत्रयापहम्. Am I clearly audible? Prajna?
Yes, Guruji.
To them. Okay. Most of you might have heard the word taratamya.
Yes, Guruji.
Which is considered very frequent, which will be heard very frequently if you, especially amongst the in the Madhva line of school of thought. But taratamya is also generally used by people to generally to mean disparity. Unch neech ka bhav. So usually this is what it is used to refer to. And acknowledging that is not seen as a virtue today anymore. Although it's a fact that everyone knows that there is such a thing inside, but you're supposed to don a kind of ignorance. You are supposed to put on a kind of ignorance about in the outer, in your outer layer, in your outer demeanor, that no such thing exists. But actually, it's a fact that everyone senses that no two people are same. So all such ideas can only be held when there is no real encounter. There is no encounter with reality. They can speak like that, and it's good for making speeches. You can get a lot of claps. But the fact is that there is something called taratamya. Even when two people just stand, if say they have to fight with each other in a battle, when two people stand with each other, each of them can immediately sense that who is a greater being by his yogyata, by his strength, by his wisdom. And the one who is a weaker being comes in control of the better being. What happens is when two people are locked in a battle also, first of all, what happens is their breaths synchronize, and just by that only you can say immediately they'll know what is going to happen in the battle. You don't have to really wait for the entire outcome. The breaths synchronize, and when the breaths synchronize, the weaker person will start breathing in synchrony with the stronger person. In the sense, the stronger person will determine the rhythm of the breath, and then as he's breathing, it's very, very subtle. Only a person who has engaged in some kind of a mortal combat will know this. It need not be mortal combat also. It can be a real combat wherein both of you are eager to fight with each other, a real fight. And even if you're not fighting, when that sense is awakened, even when you stand in front of a person, you will immediately know that that person who is in front of you is elevated, is of a higher cadre than us, or even if he is a lower. And mind you that you will sense this despite the social positioning of that person. Even if that person is of a higher status quo, in the sense that he might be richer and more well situated than you by means of social hierarchy. Maybe he has some big position in some big job, maybe, or maybe he possesses a greater car. And despite all that, when that person comes in front of another person, when two people come face each other, immediately you can sense, despite all this kind of social positioning of that person, whatever that may be, you will immediately sense that this person is better than me, or he's not better than me. In the sense that it's a very subtle sense. It's an evaluation that happens in fractions of a second. In fractions of a second. Unless you are deluded, unless you are very delusional, you would be able to sense what I am saying. It's not. It can't be missed. We do this all the time. Women do this all the time. Men do this all the time. It's very, very subtle, and the reaction that we show outside is very muffed. It is like skewed by many interfering layers of social masking. So that's why we wouldn't express what we have really sensed. But what we really sense is quite immediate. It's the strongest sense that exists. I hope at least some of you are able to make sense of what I'm saying.
Yes, Guruji.
So Taratamya, it comes from the Sanskrit word Taratama. Tara means comparative, like if you take good, better, best. So when you say better, when you're saying better, that's a comparative, like better. That is what the word Tara is saying. Then there's a word Tamap, that it forms as Tama. Tama means superlative, like best. Tama. Like Sundara Tama means he is the supermost beautiful, or she is the supermost beautiful. So Tama is always used to describe the superlative, like the best. Tara is comparative. So Tara Tama. So that knowledge, that wisdom that allows you to recognize the Taratama Bhava of a person, that who is with respect to you and with respect to everyone, the Taratama of anything. Where does that stand? To recognize this, that wisdom is called as Taratamya Jnana. It is not some kind of a savage expression of social disparity. No, that is not what. That is also sometimes described by the word Taratamya, but originally the word Taratamya comes from Tara and Tama. Taratama, tasya bhavaha Taratamya. Taratamyam, tasya Taratamya. Taratamyam, tasya that bhava is Taratamya. Taratamya is a necessary wisdom. Even Hari Bhakti, even the most auspicious thing, will not have effect if the Taratamya wisdom is not awakened, if it is not in the light of the Taratamya wisdom. Because it's always considered too dangerous to tread either too close or even too far. How close you should be becomes very clear only when you know where you stand with respect to others. Whom can we overrule and go? So if we are to approach even the absolute truth, even to approach Lord Hari himself, that approaching should happen through a way by which we recognize all others who are above us and by whose, you could say, by whose mercy we can approach Lord Hari. So this is very, this is a very important point. This is very characteristic of the Madhva school of thought, that there's a lot of emphasis that is laid on understanding Taratamya. Which Devata is above which Devata. Of course, in this Taratamya, when you're understanding, at the topmost comes God himself. After God comes Lakshmi. After Lakshmi, they are like infinitely above the other Jivaganas. Then amongst the Jivaganas first comes Brahma and the Rujus. So that is called Kaksha, the each levels. In each Kaksha, in each level, there are many beings, many beings of that same caliber, that same cadre. Then after them come a level of beings of Saraswati, Bharati, and the wives of the Rujus. Then after that you have the level which is inhabited by Garuda, Shesha, Rudra. These. Then after that you have a level in which there is Indra. So like this, the Taratamya goes on and it is described until several levels, several kakshas. But then we have to sense that, and it's very, very subtle, but yet it is very, very essential. You can only approach God only when we are aware of the Taratamya, and when we act in accordance with that Taratamya, when we have enough, it is only out of ahankara that we will overrule Taratamya. So, yeah, so 2 days we did not have, when we were supposed to have as per schedule, we couldn't have for various reasons. So I hope today's was a what we have gathered here today. I think that's a very that will compensate for the loss of 2 days. Any questions? One of the major causes of adharma, any adharma that you see, any adharma for that matter, it will always have one ingredient in it, invariably, and that is uttamanam pradharshanam. You would have violated Taratamya. You would have offended in some way someone who is above you in Taratamya. That would be the basis of anything that is called adharma. Now, that does not give you the license to abuse people who are lesser than you, because it's the very nature of spiritual discipline, of spiritual it's the nature of spirit that whoever are lesser capable than us, we are merciful towards those people in a way as to enable them to attain their purusharthas and to attain to the shelter of Hari. Yeah, I think this is one thing that we will make a point today. Prajna, if there is any discussion that comes up, please take up the discussion. I happen to be in between a few things.
Okay,
So
Guruji.
I'll conclude my participation here. If there is any question, I would take it up. But if there are none, then I would want to take leave. Is that okay, Prajna?
Yes,
Are you
Guruji.
there?
I think nobody has any queries.
Oh, okay. But this itself is a very profound thing. Taratamya. Maybe you have already spoken to them about that. Even while speaking of Avesha, Taratamya is of consequence.
Yes, Guruji.
Like, who gets into an Avesha to whom? So, it always, and there is such a, what is quite intriguing is that this Taratamya also exists amongst the demoniac forces, that there are demons of various calibers. And a deva can be overtaken, possessed even, or influenced by a demon who is more powerful than him. So this cross connection exists between the two kinds of Taratamya. So amongst the demons, the most powerful one is considered Kali. Then after him come many others like Viprachitti, Kalanemi. So all these demons, the Mahabharata goes at length to describe which demon has come as who. On more than one occasions, Mahabharata mentions such a connection. So one way that we resolve certain sins that we would have done is by acknowledging that we did that under the influence, the demonic influences of beings who are more powerful than us. So we, while praying to the Lord, submitting our offenses, we say that we have done this not wholly on our own, but under the influence of those who are greater than us, like Kama, Krodha. These are all demons. So they are powerful demons, and they possess us. In order for what you say to have, to be able to guide another person in a way, or to even when you're even maybe contesting with a demon, for you to in one sense defeat him, it would normally require that your sadhana in sattva, in sattvika sadhana, your sadhana in hari bhakti exceeds the sadhana of the dushta sadhana of that person. It is then that you can conquer his dushtatana by your sattva. So please pay heed to all these things. These will be very helpful and very crucial to understanding all the very in an organic way the stories that you hear in the Shastra. Okay, so I'll conclude. So you could please continue the discussion with Prajna, and any questions or queries that you have regarding what we've discussed, I'm sure he'll be able to answer it. So
There is
please
one question
get this
right now,
thing
Guruji.
clear. Sorry?
There is one question asked by someone. We are still responsible even if it is in case of influence, right, Swami?
We are responsible, but the level of responsibility is not often so much as we conceive it to be. The whole point is not about responsibility. The whole point is about being vulnerable to commit such a sin. And we wouldn't want to be in that vulnerability, and that we make it as part of our prayers, that please inspire me and please protect me from these demons. That is exactly what we ask for. Even when, in all the conversations you hear, Madhusudana, the killer of demons, we all often, even Arjuna addresses him like that often times. Arisudana, Madhusudana, Keshisudana. So why is he addressed often like that? Because when somebody is talking to God like that, he's very ardently trying to figure out something, and so he doesn't want to be under the influence of any demons when he does that. So it is actually, responsibility will require that you become aware that there are such influences. So unless you make an arrangement by which you would not be vulnerable to such an influence, you are you are very prone to acting under their influences. So responsibility requires that you recognize that fact and you take higher protection. You understand what's responsibility? So it is not an escapism from responsibility to say that there are such things. It's a matter of fact that there exists such a thing, that demons of higher power take charge of our minds. Even we don't even recognize, we don't even realize often. Does that answer your question?
He replied, understood.
Okay, thank you. Hare Ram.
Hare Rama, Guruji.
Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. It's a very Vishwavasu Samvatsara. We wish you all hearty good wishes and greetings on account of the new Samvatsara, Vishwavasu. We pray to Lord that it may translate in reality. It may as the meaning of the Samvatsara is Vishwavasu. Let it translate to reality. That Vishwavasu. May the Vishwa become a Vasu, or may we be Vasus for the Vishwa. Vasu in the sense may we be an asset to the Vishwa. So Vishwa Vasu, a Samvatsara, which may make us into an asset, a Vasu for the Vishwa, and make the Vishwa an asset for us. So again, greetings on account of Yugadi to all of you. Hare Ram.
Hare Rama, Guruji.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any queries now? Regarding the question that it is said that adharma resides in the back of Bhagwan, that is simply a metaphor and it's a comparison. Also, it would be better if you share the exact reference where this is said, because without that it's hard to see the context and explain why exactly that is said. But precisely, there is no difference between Bhagwan and his body. So there is no chance that any defect will reside in Bhagwan. So whatever we see is just a representation or a metaphor. Any more queries?
According to Taratanya, the demons come below the human beings, right?
Yes, the asuras are lower than the manushyas.
So even though asuras have more power when compared to Manushas, so Taratanya doesn't is not according to the power, right?
The Taratamya is according to their to one's sattvic qualities mainly, and one's bhakti and capability to perform sat sadhana.
Okay, thank you.
So the whether the person can overpower another person and all is a different thing. For that matter, even the lowest among the asuras is Kali, but Kali is actually very powerful and he is more powerful than almost all the devatas except the Rujus. So only Brahma, Vayu and the other Ruju devatas are capable of overpowering him. But at the same time, in the Taratamya, he is at the lowest place because he deserves the worst kind of position at Andhantamas for that reason only. Yes, there is Taratamya among the Asuras also, and Kali is the lowest among them. Any other queries? There are many other Rujus actually. In one instance in a Brahmanda, there are usually 100 Ruju Jivas who will be performing their sadhana. One of them is actually Sri Vadiraja Tirtharu also. He is the upcoming Ruju who will become the next Pranadeva, and during the next cycle of creation when the current Pranadeva will become Brahmadeva. Yes, Sarthak, any queries?
Yes, sir. So the asuras are lower than the manushas and devatas in Taratanya. Yet the asuras can do avisha of devatas. How is that possible?
Again, that's what I just explained 1 minute back, that the Taratamya does not simply indicate power or position. That the Taratamya
No,
is
but Srimad Acharya explains that the level of bhakti that the devata has corresponds to the power that they have.
yes, this is the permanent abilities and capabilities which they have. Basically, the one which truly suits their swabhava. The asuras will just misuse whatever power they obtain. So this doesn't mean that they're less powerful or more powerful, because as I said, even Kalipurusha is the lowest among the asuras and he is lowest in the Taratamya. But even though Kalipurusha is the lowest, he is still powerful than all other devatas except the Ruju Jivas.
Yes, understood.
Yes, every Ruju will have 100 births approximately, and each one of them will become Brahma after almost about 99 janmas. They'll become Prana, then Brahma in their 100th life. And as and when the creation progresses and the next Brahma manifests, there is one more Ruju Jiva who comes into samsara. For texts which talk about Rujuganas, you can refer to certain granthas. They're actually not that popular. There is no one specific grantha dealing with them, but in Kannada there are a few texts and books by recent authors especially which explain them. And some of the Pancharatra Agamas might mention about the Rujujivas, though not very elaborately.
In Harikatamrita Sara, in Mangalacharana Sandhya also it's there, right?
What exactly?
About Rujuganas.
Yeah, that is there. So any more queries? Basically, even the Ruju Jivas are free from the influence of Kali and all Asura Avesha as such. Especially once they complete their sadhana, they are fully free from most of the defects. It's applicable for all Rujus because they are by Swabhava, they are the candidates for becoming Vayu and Brahma. And no, Narada Muni is a Rishi. He is not a Ruju Jiva. And there is no becoming a Ruju. Ruju is the Swabhava of the Jiva. It's the highest type of Devata. So those who are already Rujus by their nature or Swabhava will become Rujus. Any further questions? So if there are no more questions, I guess we can end here for today. The next session will be this Saturday and Sunday at 8 p.m. Yes, any queries, Sarthak?
Yes. So the actions we do due to Prabhava, we are at fault, right, or not fault when we do it due to
We
Prabhava.
are at fault only.
But it is due to Prabhava, right?
Yes, but it is we only who are doing it, no? It is we only who will face the consequences of the actions.
Okay, so even if it is Prabhava, we are still doing it out of our free will, and if our Swabhava is strong enough, we would resist Prabhava. Okay.
Yes, basically we must manifest our Swabhava so that our Swabhava starts influencing us more than our Prabhava. Then finally, if one becomes an Aparoksha Jnani and reaches that highest state of Dharana as described in the Vishnu Purana, then one will be totally free from the influence of Prabhava other than anything which suits their Swabhava. Other than those things which suit their Swabhava, they'll be free from all other influences.
Yes, got it.
Any more questions? Okay, so I guess we can end here for today, and the next session will be this Saturday and Sunday at 8 p.m. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಶ್ರೀ ಕೃಷ್ಣಾರ್ಪಣಮಸ್ತು ಅಚ್ಯುತಾಯ ನಮಃ ಅನಂತಾಯ ನಮಃ ಗೋವಿಂದಾಯ ನಮಃ